Greetings folks, amigos and gringos, especially the southern gringos, the ones south of Macedonia, because at this point in time, you know, my focus is on you guys, and I wanted you to know a couple of things. I am not your enemy, neither are any Macedonians. No, we are not your enemy, folks. 2,300 years ago, we were your enemy. That's right. If you are descendants of the Greeks, and maybe you hold of those ancient Greeks, maybe that's why you're doing it, because you're holding a grudge. But I doubt it. I think that's all bullshit. And you all know it. So let's just focus on what's happened in the 19th and 20th centuries. That's the impact that's changed the face of the Balkans, and you all know it. Why do you keep pretending that you don't? And when you actually admit to something, you go, oh yeah, but that's not that significant. Yeah, they were Albanians, but there weren't many of them. Yeah, all the soldiers were Albanians, but there weren't many of them. Listen, folks, stop hiding from the truth of your history, because that's your enemy. Your history is your enemy. I didn't make it up. Your people lived it. So what's happened? You guys, you asked a couple of questions. How could a weak little country like the Kingdom of the Hellenes do what it did in Macedonia, you know? And that's just such a childish question. It really is. Is it because you don't know? You don't know because the implications are not very good for you. That's why you don't know. Because you refuse to admit the fact that Greece, your nation, is purely an Orthodox Christian nation, nothing else. That's what defined Hellenism in those days. Greekness. That's what they said. That's what they told our villagers in Macedonia. You see this? Αυτό. Ξέρεις τι είναι αυτό? Ορθόδοξο. Είμαστε όλοι Έλληνοι. That's what they used to say. The poor buggers, our Macedonian people, didn't have a clue what they were talking about, but they were talking at them. The irony was, that was probably an Arvaniti who had learned the language himself in his childhood. Who knows? So let's get over history. But I have to tell you what happened. In Macedonia, you, Hellenes, after the failure of the Ilian uprising, you and the Bulgarians and even the Serbs, you couldn't wait any longer. You sent your terror bands. Before that, it was just about Christianity. But then when Vomero were destroyed and there was no one to protect the villages, you brave soldiers and terrorists from as far away as Crete were coming into Macedonia and telling us, the indigenous people of Macedonia, that we were Hellenes. And you did it through bribery, through terror, and through the church. But you actually then, with the creation of the Bulgarian state, then you had an opposition, you see? Then you had someone to oppose you. And they did the same thing as you. They all told us we were what they wanted us to think we were. And you know that. If you don't know that, then you haven't read your history of what your great Melas and Karavangelis were like, you know. Maybe you should read Melas's, not the ones printed in Greece though. Melas's memoirs, maybe you'll know. So there was a guy from, where was it? Marseille, was he? Is that where he's from? Fighting for Hellas. You had heaps of opportunists. A couple of Distria, another opportunist fighting for Hellas, fighting for himself. Jumped on the bandwagon like everybody else did then. Destroy the Ottomans, recreate Rome. And the Megali idea still drives most of you. You still talk about Constantinople and call it polis. See, the delusion is deep, so all I'm doing is holding up a mirror to you. Your double standards, your hypocrisy, and it's all based on this delusion that somehow you, Hellenes, escaped the wrath of history. escape the impact of the Roman Empire, the impact of the many Turkic and Slavic-speaking tribes who came across the border, Avars, Pechenegs, all kinds of people. You guys magically had a special Greek force field that kept all those bad guys out. No. Everyone in the Balkans is a product of what's happened in the Balkans. There may be some pure this, pure that somewhere. I don't know. I haven't met any. So this whole issue, as I keep saying, about human rights, and I don't deny you your human rights. I never say you can't say you're Greek. Well, I never said that at all. But you need to study your own history and come to terms with who you are and stop poking your nose into other nations' countries. Stop telling other people who you colonized that you know who they are, they don't. So what happened? After the Balkan Wars, after the First World War, the Conference of Versailles, they were going to sort out, Wilson was going to sort out the world. Great liberal Democrat, crypto racist, actually, if you really want to know who he was. Comes over, he's the American on the mission from God, just like the Blues Brothers, and he is going to save Europe, set it straight, giving people rights. Macedonian people lobbied, but they weren't given rights. What happened was Macedonia's division through the Balkan Wars, that stayed in place, and 51% went to you guys, the Hellenes. And while you were there, guess what happened, guys, while you were there? And guess what happened, guys? You guys said to the people in Versailles, sure, we know we've got a minority, but they're not Bulgarians. They're Slavo-Macedonians. Yeah, we're going to respect their rights. We're going to do it all. We're Hellenes, good Greeks, Democrats, defenders of humanity and human rights, inventors of everything, including yogurt, Turkish coffee. That's how bizarre the whole thing is getting. Surely some of you Greek people are going to wake up and say, no, we want some reality in our life. So you did that, and you even actually printed a Macedonian textbook for your minority. And then along comes Metaxas, and you all become pure Hellenes, direct descendants from Pericles, Homer, Socrates. So the delusion has to stop, folks, otherwise there's never going to be peace with us and you're going to be living a lie. And the left, back to you again. Where have you guys been? You protest everything and anything, you'll assassinate American ambassadors. But when it comes to the Macedonian question, δεν ξέρω τίποτα. Τι είναι αυτό, Μακεδόνος, δεν υπάρχει. Είναι όλοι Έλληνοι, όμως δεν ξέρουν τι είναι. Αυτή την αλήθεια. Αλήθεια σου λέω, εγώ. See, that's just not good enough, folks. We exist, and you know we exist. We exist. First, you tried to tell us we were Greeks. Then when you accepted us as a minority, you called us Bulgars. Then you changed your mind and called us Macedonian, Macedonian Slavs, and then now Bulgars again, and then Serbs, and then blah. No, we're one people, the Macedonians, and you occupy 51% of our territory, and you went to such extremes as erasing tombstones, scraping off paintings on churches that didn't add up to your story. I'm going to continue this discussion, folks, and I appeal to the Greek left. I know some of you understand, but it's not good enough. You're either for human rights, and that means everybody's human rights, or you're not. Don't make excuses for Greek fascist-inspired culture. Thank you, folks, amigos. Ευχαριστώ πολύ, παιδιά.